Ambassador Sarah Chun stood on the bridge of the UES Harmony. She watched stars blur past the windows. This was humanity's first official diplomatic mission to the Zirconian Empire. Captain Jung Hoon Pim checked the navigation systems. "We'll reach their border in 2 hours, Ambassador." Sarah nodded. She had trained for this moment for 5 years. The Zirconians controlled 12 star systems. They were powerful but isolated. Earth's united government wanted trade agreements and technology exchange. "Remember the protocols," Sarah told her team. "No sudden movements. Keep your hands visible." Their culture values slow, deliberate actions. Her assistant, Min Jun Park, reviewed the translation matrix one more time. The Zirconians had sent language data 6 months ago. Still, misunderstandings could happen. The ship dropped out of hyperspace at the designated coordinates. 3 massive Zirconian warships waited for them. Each ship was black as space itself, covered in sharp angles and glowing red lights. "They're scanning us," reported Lieutenant Seo Yan Lai from the sensor station. "Let them," Sarah said calmly. "We have nothing to hide." A harsh voice crackled through the speakers. "Human vessel, you will follow us to Zircon Prime. Do not deviate from our course." The journey to the planet took 6 hours. Sarah used the time to review her speech once more. She would offer friendship, trade, and mutual protection agreements. Humanity had much to offer: medical technology, agricultural methods, and artistic culture. Zerkhon Prime appeared on the view screen. It was a dark world, covered in metallic cities that glowed with orange light. Storm clouds swirled in the upper atmosphere. "Atmospheric composition is breathable," Minjun confirmed. "Gravity is 1.3 times Earth normal. We'll feel heavy, but we can manage." The Harmony landed on a platform surrounded by tall spires. Sarah put on her environmental suit not for protection, but to show respect for their concerns about contamination. Commander Zex Theta met them at the landing pad. He stood 3 meters tall, with gray skin and forearms. His 6 eyes studied the human delegation with cold interest. "Ambassador Chun," Zex Theta said through the translator. "The Supreme Council awaits." Sarah and her team of 5 followed the commander through dark corridors. The walls were decorated with images of Zirconian victories, conquered worlds, defeated enemies. It made Sarah uncomfortable, but she kept her expression neutral. They entered a vast chamber. 12 Zirconians sat on elevated platforms, looking down at the humans. The one in the center, wearing golden armor, spoke first. "I am Supreme Overlord Kargoth. You may speak human." Sarah stepped forward and bowed slightly, not too much, as that would show weakness, but enough to show respect. "Supreme Overlord, I bring greetings from Earth and all human colonies. We come seeking friendship between our peoples." She began her prepared speech. She spoke of trade possibilities, of sharing knowledge, of working together against common threats like pirates and cosmic disasters. The Zirconians listened in silence. Their faces showed no emotion. When Sarah finished, Kargoth stood up. "You speak of friendship," he said slowly, "but we have monitored your species. You are weak. You have only colonized 20 worlds in 200 years. We have taken hundreds." "Strength comes in many forms," Sarah replied carefully. "Our medical technology could help your people live longer. Our agricultural, silence." Kargoth roared. "We do not need help from inferior beings." The atmosphere in the room shifted. Sarah felt the tension rise. Her security officer, David Chun, no relation, moved his hand slightly toward his hip, where his weapon would be if they hadn't left them on the ship as requested. "However," Kargoth continued, "you may be useful as servants. Surrender your worlds to the Zirconian Empire. We will allow some of you to live." Sarah's heart raced, but she kept her voice steady. A united Earth government will never accept slavery. We offer partnership or nothing. Kargoth laughed a sound like grinding metal. Then you offer nothing. He raised one of his forearms. Energy weapons emerged from hidden panels in the walls. Run! Sarah shouted to her team, but it was too late. The energy beam struck them all. Sarah felt burning pain, then nothing. Admiral Zhang Wei stood in the war room of Earth Defense Command. The emergency beacon from the U's Harmony had arrived 12 hours ago. The message was short, but clear. Ambassador Chun and her entire delegation were dead. Play it again, Zhang ordered. The holographic display showed the Harmony's final transmission. Captain Jung-hoon's face appeared, blood running down his forehead. Earth Command, this is Captain Kim. The Zarkonians have murdered Ambassador Chun. They demanded our surrender. When we refused, they opened fire. We're trying to escape, but the transmission cut to static. General Rebecca Torres slammed her fist on the table. Those bastards killed diplomats. They were unarmed. We need to be careful, said Defense Minister Okonkwo. The Zarkonian Empire is powerful. They have 300 warships. Zhang turned to face the assembled leaders. How many ships can we gather? 150 combat vessels, Torres replied. But Admiral, their technology is based on fear and intimidation, Zhang interrupted. They've never faced an enemy who fought back properly. President Martinez appeared on the main screen from Earth. Her face was grim. The Security Council has voted. Article 7 is activated. Everyone in the room went silent. Article 7 was humanity's last resort total war. No restrictions. Are you sure, Madam President? Okonkwo asked. They killed peaceful envoys, Martinez said. If we don't respond with overwhelming force, every alien empire will think humans are weak. We answer this with everything we have. Zhang nodded. Then we need Project Prometheus. Project Prometheus was humanity's secret weapon program. For 50 years, Earth scientists had been developing weapons too terrible to use, unless survival was at stake. Dr. Yuki Tanaka, head of weapons research, joined the meeting by hologram. The Prometheus weapons are ready, Admiral. But once we use them, there's no going back. Explain them to the Council. Zhang ordered. Tanaka pulled up classified schematics. First, we have the singularity bombs. They create artificial black holes that last for 30 seconds, enough to destroy a planet's surface. Several officers gasped. Second, the nanoswarm missiles. They release clouds of self-replicating nanobots that eat through any material ships, stations, even atmospheric particles. And the third? Zhang asked. The Void Maker. It tears holes in space-time itself. Anything caught in the effect ceases to exist. The room was silent for a long minute. How many of each do we have? Torres asked. 50 singularity bombs, 200 nanoswarm missiles, and 5 Void Makers. Minister Okonkwo stood up. This is genocide we're discussing. They started it, Zhang replied coldly. They killed our people in cold blood. They threatened to enslave humanity. This is survival. President Martinez spoke again. I've already signed the authorization. Admiral Zhang, you have command of Operation Nemesis. Zhang saluted. We'll need 2 weeks to prepare. Over the next 14 days, Earth mobilized like never before. Every available ship was recalled. Reserve crews were activated. The colonies sent their defense fleets to join the main force. The alien races who traded with humanity sent concerned messages. The Altarians, peaceful traders, offered to mediate. Earth politely declined. Captain David Park, younger brother of the murdered Minjun, volunteered to lead the first strike squadron. His request was approved. I want them to know why this is happening, he told Admiral Zhang. They need to understand what they've awakened. The fleet gathered at Starbase Prime. humanity's largest military installation. 150 warships, 30 support vessels, and 5 specialized Prometheus weapon platforms. Zhang stood on the bridge of the EDS Retribution, Earth's newest battleship. His crew was the best humanity had to offer. Navigation. Plot a course to Zarkonian space, he ordered. Course laid in, Admiral. Communications. Prepare a message for broadcast on all frequencies. The communications officer nodded. Ready, sir? Zhang stood straight, facing the camera. This is Admiral Zhang Wei of Earth Defense Fleet. 12 days ago, the Zarkonian Empire murdered our peaceful envoys. They demanded our surrender. Today, humanity answers. To all civilizations listening, do not interfere. This is between Earth and the Zarkonians. To the Zarkonian Empire, you wanted to see human strength. Now you will. He cut the transmission and turned to his crew. All ships, prepare for jump. We go to war. The fleet jumped into hyperspace as one, leaving behind empty space and a galaxy holding its breath. Supreme Overlord Kargoth stood in his throne room, reading the intelligence reports. The human fleet was coming. He laughed, a sound that made his subordinates tremble. 150 ships, he said to Commander Zex Theta. They bring 150 ships against our 300. The humans are emotional, Supreme One, Zex Theta replied. They act without thinking. Prepare the fleet. We will crush them at the border and then take their worlds. But in hyperspace, Admiral Zhang was conducting final preparations. A human fleet had stopped at a secret staging point, a rogue asteroid converted into a supply base. All captains report status, Zhang commanded. One by one, the ship captains checked in. Every vessel was combat ready. The Prometheus weapons were armed and loaded. Dr. Tanaka had joined the fleet personally. Aboard the science vessel, EDS Pandora, she transmitted new data to Zhang. Admiral, I've analyzed the Zarkonian ship designs from our spy drones. Their shields operate on a specific frequency. I've adjusted our weapons to match. Good work, Doctor. Captain Seo-Jin Lee, commanding the destroyer ED's Thunder, raised a concern. Admiral, what about Zarkonian civilians? Their worlds have billions of non-combatants. Zhang's face was stone. The Zarkonians made no distinction between our diplomats and soldiers. Neither will we. Total war means total war. Some officers looked uncomfortable, but none protested. They remembered Sarah Chun's smile, Min Jun's enthusiasm for alien languages. Good people, murdered for refusing slavery. The fleet's AI, Marcus, projected tactical scenarios. Admiral, the Zarkonians will likely mass their fleet at their border fortress. Station Prime. It guards the main hyperspace route to their core worlds. Then we don't take the main route, Zhang replied. He pointed to the star map. We use the Voidmaker here, in empty space. Create our own path. It was brilliant and terrifying. The Voidmaker would tear a hole through space itself, creating a new hyperspace route that bypassed all Zarkonian defenses. That's never been tested, Dr. Tanaka warned. Today, we test it. Meanwhile, Earth's colonies were not idle. The Mars shipyards worked overtime, producing ammunition and drone fighters. The Europa Science Station created new computer viruses designed to attack Zarkonian systems. Most importantly, humanity's allied trading partners were quietly warned to evacuate their personnel from Zarkonian space. The Altarians pulled their merchant ships back. The Centauri closed their embassy on Zircon Prime. The Zarkonians noticed these departures, but dismissed them as cowardice. Back with the human fleet, Zhang gathered his senior officers for a final briefing. Phase 1. We use the Voidmaker to bypass their defenses and appear directly in their home. System. The holographic display showed the plan. Phase 2. Deploy Nano. Swarms against their orbital defense platforms. Without those, their planets are vulnerable. Phase 3. Singularity bombs on military installations on all 12 of their core worlds. Simultaneously. Phase 4. Any remaining resistance gets the remaining Void Makers. Captain David Park raised his hand. What if they surrender? They won't, Zhang replied. Their culture doesn't allow it. They see surrender as worse than death. Then we give them death, Park said coldly. 3 days before the attack, Earth received an unexpected message. It was from Overlord Kargoth himself. Humans, turn back now. We will give you one chance. Send us tribute 1 million of your people as slaves, and we'll spare your worlds. Zhang recorded his response personally. Kargoth, you killed Ambassador Sarah Chun. She came in peace. You answered with murder. Now comes war. Look to your skies. We are coming. The crew of the Retribution worked with grim efficiency. Weapons were checked and rechecked. The Prometheus platforms were positioned in the center of the fleet, protected by layers of warships. Dr. Tanaka made a final modification to the nano-swarms. I've programmed them to reproduce faster in Zirconian atmospheric conditions. Once released, they'll consume everything within hours, not days. Do it, Zhang approved. On the eve of the attack, Zhang addressed the entire fleet. Tomorrow, we strike. Some call what we're about to do monstrous. They're right. But the galaxy needs to learn humanity can be monstrous when needed. We offered friendship. They chose war. Now they face extinction. For Sarah Chun, for Min Jun Park, for all who died on the Harmony. For Earth. The fleet responded as one. The ships powered up their weapons. The Void Maker charged with energy that bent space around it. Tomorrow, the Zirconian Empire would end. The Void Maker fired at exactly 0600 Earth Standard Time. Reality screamed as a hole was torn through space itself. The human fleet plunged through the artificial wormhole, emerging directly above Zircon Prime. Supreme Overlord Kargoth was in his bath when alarm shrieked across the planet. Impossible. He roared, rushing to his command center. How did they bypass our defenses? 300 Zirconian warships scrambled to respond, but they were scattered across 12 systems. Only 40 ships protected the homeworld. Admiral Zhang didn't hesitate. All ships execute Phase 2, launch nano-swarms. 200 missiles streaked toward the orbital defense platforms. The Zirconians tried to shoot them down, but the missiles split into thousands of smaller warheads. Even one getting through was enough. Commander Zex Theta watched in horror as the first platform began to dissolve. The nanobots ate through metal and energy shields alike, spreading like a plague. Within minutes, the massive station crumbled into gray dust. Fire everything. Kargoth, commanded. Zirconian ships unleashed their energy weapons. The beams struck human vessels, but Earth's ships had come prepared. Their new adaptive shields, designed from studying Zirconian weapons, absorbed most of the damage. Captain David Park led Squadron Alpha straight at the enemy flagship. For my brother, he whispered, and louder. All ships, attack Pattern Omega. The human ships moved in perfect coordination. They flew in spiraling patterns that confused Zirconian targeting systems. Meanwhile, Earth's weapons found their marks. Plasma torpedoes punched through Zirconian hulls. Railguns fired projectiles at 20% light speed. The enemy ships, built to intimidate rather than fight equal opponents, began to buckle. Phase 3 now. Zhang ordered. 50 singularity bombs launched toward Zircon Prime surface. Kargoth saw them coming on his display. What are those? He demanded. His science officer's 6 eyes went wide with terror. Supreme One, they're creating gravitational anomalies. There? They're black holes. The first bomb detonated over Zircon Prime's capital city. A black hole the size of a building appeared, pulling everything into its infinite hunger. Skyscrapers, vehicles, even the air itself was devoured. When the singularity evaporated 30 seconds later, a perfect sphere of nothingness remained 20 kilometers of city simply gone. 40-9 more detonations followed across the planet. The other Zarkonian worlds received the same treatment. Humanity had synchronized the attack perfectly. Military bases, shipyards, command centers all devoured by temporary black holes. On Zircon 7, an industrial world, General Varnash tried to organize resistance. Launch all fighters. Protect the... He never finished. A nano-swarm missile had breached the atmosphere. The gray cloud spread faster than wind, consuming everything it touched. Buildings dissolved. Vehicles crumbled. The very ground turned to dust. V. O. Raynash watched his own hand begin to dissolve before the nanobots consumed him entirely. Back at Zircon Prime, Kargoth's throne room shook as another singularity bomb detonated nearby. "Send a message to Earth," he shouted. "Tell them communications are down," Zex the Air reported. "The humans are jamming everything." The Zarkonian fleet tried to regroup, but Earth ships hunted them relentlessly. The destroyer These Thunder cornered 3 enemy cruisers near Zircon Prime's moon. Captain Seo Jin Lee showed no mercy. "Fire all weapons." The Zarkonian ships exploded one by one. Admiral Zhang monitored the battle from the Retribution. The tactical display showed green dots overwhelming red ones. In just 3 hours, 200 Zarkonian ships had been destroyed. "Admiral," Dr. Tanaka reported, "the nanoswarms have consumed 60% of targeted infrastructure. Should I activate the kill switch?" "Not yet," Zhang replied. "Let them spread." On Zircon Prime, Kargoth made a desperate decision. Activate the Planet Killer. If we die, we take them with us. The Planet Killer was the Zarkonians' ultimate weapon, a massive energy beam that could crack a world in half. But it needed 10 minutes to charge. Zhang's tactical officer noticed the energy buildup immediately. "Admiral, they're powering a super weapon. Use Voidmaker 2. Zhang ordered calmly. The second Voidmaker fired. This time, the target was the Planet Killer itself. Space-time twisted, and the massive weapon, along with a chunk of the planet's surface, simply ceased to exist. Kargoth fell to his knees. Around him, his empire burned. Through the windows, he could see the gray cloud of nanobots approaching his palace. "How?" He whispered. "We are the strong. You are the weak." As if in answer, Admiral Zhang's voice echoed through the palace on emergency speakers, the only system still working. "You confused kindness with weakness, Kargoth. Now you know the truth." The nanobots reached the throne room. Asterisk. 12 hours after the attack began, the Zarkonian Empire was gone. Admiral Zhang stood on the bridge of the Retribution, watching the tactical display. Every Zarkonian military installation had been destroyed. Their fleet was space debris. Their 12 core worlds were graveyards. "Sir," the communications officer reported, "we're receiving surrender signals from civilian populations on the outer colonies. How many survivors?" Zhang asked. "Approximately 2 million, spread across 15 mining colonies and agricultural worlds." Zhang considered this. The plan had been total annihilation, but these were civilians on remote worlds, not the warriors who had murdered Sarah Chun. Accept their surrender. They will be relocated to a single planet under human supervision. Dr. Tanaka activated the kill switch for the nano-swarms. Across 12 worlds, the gray clouds dissipated. Their programmed lifespan ended. What remained behind was devastation beyond imagination. Zircon Prime was the worst. The planet's surface was pocked with perfectly spherical craters where the singularity bombs had activated. The capital city was gone. The palace was dust. Of the 12 billion Zarkonians who had lived there, perhaps a few thousand survived in underground shelters. Captain David Park requested permission to land on Zircon Prime. Young graduate Park walked through what had been the government district, his boots crunching on the crystallized sand that had once been buildings. He found the spot where the peace delegation had been murdered, the coordinates, where in the Harmony's final transmission, he placed a memorial beacon. It would broadcast a message for the next 1,000 years. Here died Ambassador Sarah Chon and 5 peaceful humans. Here began the end of the Zarkonian Empire. The galaxy watched in stunned silence. The Altarians, who had offered to mediate, sent a single message: "We understand." The Rigelian Confederacy, who had been considering expansion toward human space, quietly recalled their fleets. The Andromedan Council, who had dismissed humans as a minor species, upgraded Earth to extreme threat do not provoke. 3 days after the attack, President Martinez addressed Earth, and all human colonies. The Zarkonian Empire is no more. They murdered our envoys, threatened our freedom, and demanded our slavery. We answered with the only language they understood: force. Let this be a message to all who would threaten humanity. We prefer peace. We seek friendship. But if you harm our people, if you threaten our freedom, we will end you. To our allies and trading partners, know that this changes nothing between us. We value your friendship. To potential enemies, remember what happened here. The speech was broadcast on all galactic communication channels. In deep space, Admiral Zhang met with the captains of the fleet. The mood was somber, not celebratory. "We did what was necessary," Zhang said, "but we must never forget the cost. We destroyed an entire civilization." Captain Park spoke up. "They would have enslaved us all. They killed peaceful diplomats." "Yes," Zhang agreed, "but that doesn't make what we did noble. Only necessary." Dr. Tanaka presented her final report. The Prometheus weapons performed beyond expectations. I recommend we seal them away unless faced with extinction-level threats. Agreed, Zhang said. Have them placed in the deepest vaults on Earth. May we never need them again. The surviving Zarkonians were relocated to a planet renamed Haven. They were given supplies, tools, and a chance to rebuild under strict conditions. No weapons. No space travel. Human observers would remain for generations. Some of the younger Zarkonians, born after the war, would eventually integrate with human society. They would learn what their elders couldn't, that humans preferred building to destroying. 6 months later, Earth received a message from the Galactic Council, a loose confederation of older species. Humanity, your response to the Zarkonian aggression has been noted. You are now recognized as a prime species, with all associated rights and responsibilities. Use your power wisely. Earth accepted the recognition, but continued its original mission: peaceful exploration and trade. A monument was built on Earth's moon, visible through telescopes from the planet's surface. It listed the names of the 6 murdered envoys. Below their names, an inscription: "They died seeking peace. We answered with war." May their sacrifice remind us that strength unused is true power, but strength withheld when needed is death. Admiral Zhang retired after the war, spending his remaining years teaching at the academy. His final lesson to each class was always the same. The galaxy learned that humans could be monsters. Make sure they also learn we choose not to be. The Zarkonian War, as history would remember it, lasted just 12 hours. It ended an empire that had lasted 3,000 years. Earth never used the Prometheus weapons again. They never needed to. No one ever killed a human envoy again. The end. Asterisk.